Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Freedom Entrepreneur Podcast, the ultimate destination for all you freedom seekers out there who are yearning to break free from the chains of a traditional job and create an online business that allows you to live life on your terms. Get ready to unlock the secrets of online business, digital marketing, and be inspired by incredible interviews with those who are already living the dream. And now, please join us in welcoming your host, Lindsay Sutherland, a high-performance business consultant and a true advocate of the laptop lifestyle.
Hey, Freedom Entrepreneurs, welcome back. So excited to have you here with me. So excited to be back on the podcast. I got to tell you, I have had some explosive growth in my business, which is a blessing. Absolutely. And I'm definitely grateful. However, it has kept me away from the podcast. And I must admit, I am sad. I miss this. And I think another thing was too, is I was putting a lot of pressure on myself to be doing video podcasts. And quite frankly, it's just too difficult for me to get myself all gussied up. I know it sounds silly, but by the time I'm in my office and I've gotten the kids to school and I sit down, I'm just busy. It's my busy time. So what I love about audio podcasts, and like for those of you who have been wondering if you should start a podcast, this is still one of my favorite things. It's early morning. I'm sitting here with a nice warm cup of coffee and I look like I should not be doing video. Let me just say it like that. Just without giving you all the details. If I don't think I want to show my face, I can still show up for you. And that's what matters. That's really what matters is it's about the message. It's about the transformation that you get when you show up to the podcast. So I intend to continue to do these audio versions because, again, I can also record these late at night. When I'm tired and my eyes are bloodshot, it's fine because sometimes I get my best inspiration at the most random times. So there you have it. I have been a little bit silent here on the podcast for a couple of reasons. Really, the business growth. I launched a digital agency, which I've talked about a couple times. And it's been having some growing pains, but I mean, those are always good things to have. Lots of referrals coming my way. And then what happened is I would block off time to work on my podcast. And then inevitably, like something would come up and I would let that slide into that spot. So that's kind of where I'm like, okay, I think I found my happy medium here. If I give myself permission to record without having to do YouTube video, I can just get on here when I can get on here. And that's what I'm here to do. So today I want to pipe up here with a quick aha for you. This is a mindset thing. I had this epiphany for over 20 years. I've been working on mindset. I know I've talked about that before because I had a coach back when I was 19. I had a coach who was a thought coach before coaching was even a thing. And I've been working on self-development and mindset since then, right? And I'm in my 40s. So with that being said, my aha this week, however, was it never dawned on me that my money mindset is not the same as my general mindset. I know, isn't that crazy to think about? It really spun me up because I was like, I work on myself. I work on having positive thinking. I work on being around like-minded people that believe in themselves, that are uplifting, that want peace and harmony. But I wasn't being intentional about replacing negative thinking about money, digging into any fears about money, surrounding myself with wealthier minded people, studying wealthy people, how they think. And since I've been doing that, it has changed my mind. One of the books I'm reading that has been, I'm telling you, this is going to be my next study book. I don't know what I think I've mentioned this before. When I read books, most of the time, we just read a book and we put it back on our shelf. That's not how I roll. I read a book and then I reread it and then I reread it, or I read it and I study it. So I might only read a chapter, but I implement it. It depends on how the book is written. Like with the compound effect, I was listening to that in audio. And so I would listen to it and then I would implement it that day, whatever strategy I learned. And then on the ride home, I would listen to it again. And I listened to that book 5 times consecutively because I was studying it. I was practicing putting what I'm learning into my life. And I encourage you to do that too. And so, like I said, I'm reading Ecker's book, The Millionaire Mind. And in the beginning, he really talks about understanding your money blueprint. And I almost skipped part 1 of the book. I'm telling you, I almost did. I was like, oh my gosh, I have dug into my past so much. I feel like I'm intimately aware of how my childhood, how my parents, all of that influenced me. So I told myself, no, Lindsay, usually what I've learned in my self-help journey is if I'm resisting something, then it's actually in my best interest to do it because there's going to be something good for me there. And so I read it and I'm so, so glad I did because my biggest takeaway from that, I learned, and this is something I want to share with you because I think as entrepreneurs, we all have a money blueprint that's writing the story of our financial life as a business owner. Now, my dad, as you know, was a flooring contractor. And so he was a solopreneur. And he's literally why I do what I do today. I think of him every day when I do my work. And I realized that my mother worked for him. Now, as a kid and as a young adult, even as a novice business owner, I was like, oh my goodness, I am cultivating what my parents did. And I mean, I felt so close to them. And I loved the idea that my mom worked for my dad and we had a family owned business and I was the product of that. And I made so many good feelings about that. It never dawned on me that that left an impression in the way that I view money. And he shares this story in the book that says, um, that his mother, or let's see, his wife, when she was a child, always wanted, when the ice cream truck would come around, she wanted, a quarter for ice cream. So she'd go to her mother and get ask for 25 cents. And her mother would say, oh, honey, I don't have the money. You have to go see dad. And so she'd go to dad give her the money, and she'd be happy with her ice cream. So money equaled happiness, and dad had the money. Well, when he shared that story, it hit me. My mom didn't make the money. She supported my dad who made the money. And our life, our happiness centered around dad's business thriving. So when dad's business was good, we got to go on vacations. When dad's business was bad, it was scary to ask for money. Dad was in a bad mood. Like our happiness revolved around money. It became so much more clear about how that was impacting my life and my relationship with my husband, with our finances, with emotions that I've had about like how to earn money. It was just so transformative to hear that story and understand that and look at the way my parents worked and how the finances were discussed, how the finances were treated, and how the finances affected our family experience. So listen, I encourage you to read that book. If you haven't already, read that book because it is game changing. And really think about your money mindset different than your general mindset because you could be a happy person. You could be really intentional about, creating a positive vibe. But if you're not intentional about generating abundance and working through any mindset blocks that are coming up for you when you think about that, just being happy, I mean, you could be broke and be happy, right? Or you could be wealthy and be happy. Which do you choose? And in order to do that, you must be mindful about your money mindset. All right, entrepreneurs, thanks for tuning in. Until next week. Bye for now.
Until next time, stay motivated, stay focused, and remember that the power to create the life that you want is already within you. I'm Lindsay Sutherland, and I'll catch you on the next episode of the Freedom Entrepreneur Podcast.
Thank you for joining us today. If you enjoyed this episode of the Freedom Entrepreneur Podcast, make sure to subscribe, leave us a review, and share the podcast with your fellow freedom seekers. Together, we'll inspire and empower countless individuals to live life on their own terms.